We've got another video.
Hello to my YouTube audience, and welcome to the What Sonic Adventure 2 Means to Me / why I think they should do a remake video. So I just recently, as in a week ago, uploaded this exact same formatted video, but on Sonic Adventure 1, because both games mean a lot to me. So if you haven't seen the Sonic Adventure 1 video, and you're more interested in the why I think there should be a remake aspect, so that would be part 2 to these videos, go ahead and probably watch part 2, as in, like, skip to part 2 in the video. It's all in one video, so part 1 and part 2, but I include a timestamp for part 2, because that part will include most of my exact same points to why I think they should do a Sonic Adventure 2 remake, because the reasons for wanting a remake for both games are very similar. So while I do have a couple of new points for Sonic Adventure 2, for the most part, my reasoning is, like, you know, graphics, music, and all that is the same. So I would suggest going and watching that one, which is actually doing better than I thought it would, at around 88 views right now, which is great. I actually didn't think it would even do that well, so thanks everybody for watching that. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get started with what Sonic Adventure 2 means to me as part 1, and I will include a link for part 2. However, this video overall will be much shorter than that one, because once again, a lot of the points would just be repeated if I did the same thing. So, if you've heard my story to Sonic Adventure 1, I did have it on the Dreamcast. I grew up with it on the Dreamcast. I was still really young. I mean, I don't know exactly, but I would have been, like I said in the last video, like 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. And I never even, like, thought about there being a Sonic Adventure 2, but I have beaten Sonic Adventure 1 at this point, and all of a sudden, I'm at my grandma's, which, if you remember, she's the one who had the Dreamcast, and I was eating breakfast in the morning, and I was watching TV. I think it was, 4Kids, probably Yu-Gi-Oh! And Sonic. I don't know for sure. That might not be the right time frame. Whatever. It was one of the Saturday morning cartoon, channels, and I saw a trailer for Sonic Adventure 2 pop up on the screen, and they talked about how there was going to be a new hedgehog named Shadow in the trailer, and I haven't seen that trailer since I was a kid, so I'd have to look it up again. I'm sure it's on YouTube, but it blew my fucking mind, because I was like, oh my god, there's like a fucking there's a new hedgehog, I don't think we had gotten a new hedgehog in the series at that point. So as a kid, like, I really, really wanted to play as Shadow. Well, when the game finally did come out, and my grandma definitely knew we wanted it, so she bought it for us right away, and we were just completely enamored with Shadow, and being able to play on the dark side. Being the villains in the Sonic series was actually a new concept as well. So it was really cool just to play as Eggman, and Rouge was new, but Shadow was the real appeal, but Eggman had some appeal too. And as I was playing the game, like, at first I was a little disappointed because there was no hub world. So if you remember Sonic Adventure 1, obviously it had, like, the Station Square, Mystic Ruins, and the Egg Carrier as hub worlds. As I grew older, I realized, well, not having a hub world is not necessarily a bad thing, because the hub world in the Sonic games never really did anything. It's not like a hub world on Spyro where, you can you can explore, but there's not really much to explore. It's kind of empty when you really get down to it. There's some people walking around. They make it feel lively, but really, like, not having the hub world in Sonic Adventure 2 is really not a big deal at all. However, once I got past the whole hub world thing, and I dive into the story of the game, I'm really enjoying the story. I like the levels, and I like the music as a kid. And the story is something I still wish we had more Sonic Adventure-y like stories to this day in Sonic games. We don't really get stories like that anymore. So I was loving the story in Shadow. I struggled to get through certain sections of the game, and I would want to get through sections just to play as Shadow because he was new. Although Knuckles was still my favorite at the time as a kid. Well, he still is. He's still my favorite, so a lot of my story with Sonic Adventure 2 here is similar to my experience with Sonic Adventure 1 in that I would always like play it on the weekends. Now, I did have a memory card at this point. If you watch my Sonic Adventure 1 video, you realize I didn't have a memory card for a while, so I couldn't save the game. But there was no hub world, so I couldn't do anything like role-playing anymore. But overall, like, this game took up most of my time. I would play it every weekend at my grandma's house when I'd go there. And I would just do it all the way up until I beat it, and then I would try to do the extra missions and the Chow Garden, which we'll get to in a little bit. Fast forward a little bit, a couple years later, I have my own GameCube. I get the GameCube, or I don't get the GameCube day one, but when I get my GameCube, my personal day one with the GameCube, I knew that, I was like, okay, I already have Sonic Adventure 2, but I want the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle version on the GameCube, so that was that, and Super Mario Sunshine, which came with my GameCube, were the first games that I got on the GameCube, with Melee coming a much shorter time later, like literally probably a week or two or a month later or whatever, and I made sure to get the GameCube with the memory card, because Mario Sunshine's GameCube came with a memory card, which is funny because if you heard my video from Sonic Adventure 1, I didn't have a memory card, so I knew how important memory cards were at this point. Yeah, I had the option of the Mario Sunshine, nice little side story. I had the option of the Mario Sunshine GameCube with the memory card, or the Legend of Zelda, like the one that came with the Collector's Edition, which admittedly now is a cooler version, the Zelda Collector's Edition one. However, it didn't come with a memory card, and I wanted to make sure that my dad didn't have to pay for one, and that I could save Sonic Adventure 2, and obviously my other games, so that's the one I went with. So I absolutely, I love the Chow Garden. I actually still have the memory card from when I was a little kid with the Chow Garden data on it. Not the Dreamcast one, that's gone, but the GameCube one. So I actually do have my Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Chow from when I was a little kid, which maybe someday I'll show off on stream or something. We'll see. But yeah, and I think I already said love the music. I'm just looking at my bullet points here. The last thing that Sonic Adventure 2 would do for me is, like I said, I couldn't role play. There was no hub world. But one thing that I would do, and I would do this with a lot of Sonic games that had this, so Sonic Heroes, I did something similar and stuff like that. But what I would do is I would swap between the hero and the dark story depending on where I thought they were at in the timeline. So maybe, I start with the dark timeline once I figured out, where their stories lie. Because the dark timeline starts a little bit before City Escape and the hero timeline. So you play up until, this is, when City Escape happens, and then, a little bit after that, they're in the pyramids or something, and then, Eggman's at this point in the pyramids. Their stories intertwine, just like they do in Sonic Adventure. And actually, I think I failed to mention that in my Sonic Adventure 1 video, I would do the same thing there as well, where I would try to, meet the timelines up, which you could kind of, technically do. So, while I didn't have the hub world for little bits of, role-playing, I still found ways to incorporate that in, even if it meant just going in a level and walking around and exploring levels when the game is like, aren't you going to beat this level? I'm like, no, I'm going to fucking explore. So I think that about does it for part 1 of this video. Like I said, this is a lot shorter than the first one because a lot of points, not just for the part 1, but the part 2 with the remake, which we're about to start, would be reiterated. There's just a couple things about Sonic Adventure 2 that are different that I thought warrant enough of a video on its own. I didn't want to make the first video Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 because that would have been long as hell. So the Sonic Adventure 1 video was already long as hell. But anyways, part 2. So one thing that I did forget to bring up in the Sonic Adventure 1 video, so I thought I'd state it here, letting them do a remake of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 gives them time to study what made Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and also, by the way, what makes Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 bad, so not just the good things, but the bad things, and hopefully could give them practice for a Sonic Adventure 3 or something, similar, or even just future Sonic games in general. So I do think that would be helpful to them for studying certain things that people like about Sonic. Sonic Adventure 2's camera isn't as bad as the first one, per se, but it's also not perfect. So, studying the little things like that, just what are some of the issues that Sonic Adventure 2 had? I do think Tails and Eggman stages, for example, are just pretty fucking bland, so I would almost do something a little different if they did a remake of those specifically for Tails and Eggman stages. Knuckles and Rouge, I think, are fine enough, and Sonic and Shadow stages are obviously the highlight. Tails and Eggman stages, I would almost just say, like, not scrap or anything, just rework them, make them more strategic so that it's not like an automatic run shooter kind of thing. They're just not all that interesting. But obviously they want to keep, like, the original spirit and most of the experience alive. But I don't think that doesn't mean they can't improve some minor things. Which that's a good lead into my second bullet point for Sonic Adventure 2, voice acting. Now, I did mention, voice acting in the Sonic Adventure 1 video. What should they do? Should they have the original voice actors? A lot of them aren't great, or at least at the time. Maybe they're better now. Who knows? Actors, some of them have the right voices, but for example, like, the voice of Sonic in Adventure 1 and 2, I like his voice. The acting's not always great, though. And Jason Griffith is I like he did the Sonic X voice. He was really good too. The thing about the Sonic voice actors, let me expand upon what I said in the Sonic Adventure 1 video. They vary in quality from not only just generations, but characters. So, like, Tails, I feel like, had a really good voice from, like, 2003 to, like, 2011, I think it was. I can't remember who his voice actor was at the time. It was a woman. But then, Eggman has a really good voice starting from the beginning of Sonic Adventure, or like Mike Pollock, I guess. So not Sonic Adventure, but around Sonic Heroes time. Which, by the way, I believe the voice actor for Eggman in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 is dead, so you can't bring him back anyways, if I remember correctly. His name was Dean Bristow, I believe, and I think you could fact check me on that. I don't mind posting in the comments, but I think he's dead. So obviously you couldn't bring. I think Mike Pollock would be fine. My best guess is that they just go with the original voice actors, or sorry, not the original voice actors, the newest crop of Sonic voice actors, like who they have now, unless their contracts are almost up, which I do think is fairly soon, but it's not quite, because I think they started around Free Riders, I think, or Colors, somewhere in there. So I think it would just be more of a hassle for Sega, or Sonic Team, whoever, to go around and, like, be like, well, this was, the Sonic best Sonic voice actor here, but Shadow's best voice actor is all the way, up here in 06, because they've all had so many different voices. So I think what they're going to go with is just use the current crop. I don't know if they, getting all the original Sonic Adventure voice actors is necessarily the best idea. I mean, you look at what they did with the Spyro remake, how Tom Kenny was not Spyro in the first Spyro game, but he's kind of known as Spyro now. I think, I think that's the thing with, like, Sonic is there's a debate amongst fans. There's never felt like one Sonic like Spyro feels like Tom Kenny. And a lot of Sonic characters are like that. It's never felt like Roger Craig Smith is Sonic, Ryan Drummond is Sonic. So it's never quite felt that way. I do have my personal, like, when I hear Sonic's voice, oftentimes I think of the, like, Sonic X voice, or I think of Sonic Adventure, but that's just because of what I grew up with, not because they're necessarily the best, although for Sonic specifically, I think they might be. But regardless, the only one I think that has just been super consistent is Eggman. Mike Pollock has been fantastic for him since he came in. Wow, I didn't expect the voice acting part to last that long, but that's a very complicated part, the voice acting. Like, what do they go with, right? And I think that's going to be a very diverse opinion. Last thing, fixing the audio and the cutscenes in Sonic Adventure 2. So it's not just the Dreamcast version. It's mostly the GameCube version, but the Dreamcast version had some issues too. Characters talking over each other at times during cutscenes, specifically with the battle version on the GameCube. There were some graphical issues. Like, I remember the cutscene where Knuckles comes out of the sewer and Tails like drives down the street, and there were some like trees that didn't pop up, so you can actually see the background, the buildings like cut off. Those are some things they'll need to fix. Now, if you saw my Sonic Adventure 1 video again, I'm just in favor of them redoing the cutscenes in general, whether make them CGI or just better in-game cutscenes, which is a given, right? I mean, they're not going to keep the original graphics or anything. So, but obviously, you got to make sure that they look nice, because those are, I would argue, those are some of the bigger issues with Sonic Adventure 2. There is some gameplay issues. It's not perfect gameplay-wise. It's certainly once again, like Sonic Adventure 1, it's no technical masterpiece like a Mario 64 or whatever, what have you. But I would say, like, man, if they could get the cutscenes better, that makes Sonic Adventure 2 a much better experience. It's less of a joke in certain cutscenes where characters are talking over each other. You can't hear them because of the music. The graphics are an issue because they don't pop up in certain areas, or textures are fucked up in other areas, or whatever. A lot of those came about because of the Sonic Adventure 2 battle version, but some of that stuff was prevalent in the Dreamcast version. But, yeah, anyways, I think that's everything I have to say about Sonic Adventure 2. Like I said, part 2 to this video was a little shorter because there's not, like I said, a lot of my points would have just been repeated for Sonic Adventure 1. So I recommend you watch that video first before you watch this one. But I guess the video's over, so you would have already done that. But if you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it. And, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I'll have a new video for you next week, hopefully. And I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching, guys.